were kids back in the 80s and 90s, seeing clips of the new animated movies felt so fun. You remember Surf Disney? On the Disney Channel, they would show us clips and footage of the making of the newest movie, the actors giving interviews. That felt like special because back in the 90s, it was like, ooh, I'm watching something on my screen that hasn't even been released in theaters yet. Like it's a special look. It's like we were in on the project itself. We didn't have video on demand. We had to live our lives by the TV guide. But I'm telling you, we were the lucky ones because we got to look forward to things like this. Now, today, our poor kids just have this to look forward to.
Women. Women too.
A soliloquy for every movie. From Casablanca, Tommy Boy. He's here, it's him. It's Andrew Toy. It's Andrew Toy.
I'm going to try not to cover the same ground that you've heard 1,000 times in other videos concerning Disney remakes, but the remakes inherently suggest that live action is better, and that the live action versions are prettier than the dull animated movies that came out 20 years ago, or in this case, 20 weeks ago. So why does Disney undermine and devalue their own IP?
He's selling himself for 25 cents.
Oh, Woody, you're worth more than that.
Because I think the only moment that matters to them is now. There's no more investing in the future. There's no more putting money in the long game. They just want an instant return now. Disney movies, they weren't constantly barraging you in the theaters. They weren't guaranteed, and they certainly weren't disposable. But when I watched this new Moana trailer, I came to a realization that it's not Disney's fault. Disney is actually not the problem here. It's us. Every year, the same question comes up. Besides financial reasons, why does Disney keep making these remakes? And I'm talking creatively why. Whether Disney knows it or not, they are sending a very clear message. And they're convincing us that live action is actually an upgrade from the original animated source material. They're telling us that the animated version was the rough draft, and now the live action remake, this is the polished version that you want. But we all know that's just not true. In fact, the absolute opposite is true. You know as well as I that animation allows for more expression, more color, more vibrancy, more life. Animation, it's not limited to physics or realism. Animation is imagination at its peak. So for instance, when Disney remakes Moana, a movie that was defined by its color, its vibrancy, its energy, its stylization, and then tones it down to this grayish, overly rendered CGI, they're not improving it. They're flattening it out. And it's interesting because Disney knows this. I don't think Disney is out of touch the way people think they are. Like, they're listening to us. They know what we're saying. They've heard all of our critiques. I mean, just look at the rise of Skywalker, right? The whole movie is like an answer to every tweet that they got over the Star Wars series. And so this is a company that absolutely pays attention to what people are saying. You really think that they don't see the same complaints online year after year? But if they do, why do they keep doing it? The dwarves look weird. Sebastian is terrifying. Why does this look so lifeless? This isn't even live action. They've heard it all over and over and over and over again. And yet, nothing changes. And we've got to stop and ask why. Why is that? They hear our complaints. They know what we want and don't want, yet they keep serving us the very thing we complain about. And I think the reason for that is because it doesn't have to. From Disney's point of view, they don't have to do anything differently. Because despite all of these complaints, these movies always make an insane amount of money. We're talking free passes to the $1 billion club time and time and time again. People say they hate them, but they're gonna go see them anyway. And that's the part nobody wants to admit. But it's a lot harder to lean back and call Disney lazy while we're watching one of their remakes on the screen that we paid a ticket for to see. Essentially watching the very thing that we have criticized. Think about that. We send a message back to Disney the way they send messages through their mediums. The language we peasants share with major corporations, with Disney, is money. Money. That's all. That's how we communicate, is through finances, numbers. Every ticket we buy to these things sends a message. Yeah, this is fine. Keep going. We're not punishing bad creativity. We're rewarding it. Theaters have yet to take up my idea to where you buy a ticket and then when you walk out of the theater, you have the option to stand at a kiosk and tell the studio via internet exactly how you felt about the movie. As of now, tickets don't allow us to do that. No matter how bad the movie is, studios see the purchase of tickets as this is a great movie, keep going. And over time, that changes the entire system because now Disney is no longer asking, how do we make something timeless? They're asking instead, how do we make something that guarantees a hefty return right now? And that's a huge shift from where Disney used to be. You remember the Disney Vault? The whole idea of the Disney Vault was to literally put value on their products, their IPs. So a movie would come out, everybody would see it in theaters, and then comes the video, and it's only on video for a short amount of time. And once that clock ticks to, and once that clock, and once that clock, and once that clock clicks 12, pig, I can't say it. I can't say it. And once that clock ticks 12, that movie goes back in the vault for like 10 or 12 years. And through that time of hibernation, the value and the demand for that movie rises and rises. So Disney was really in it for the long-term game. And wouldn't you know it, when they finally re-released that movie with more bonus features and an upgraded to a Blu-ray or 4K, even people who already owned the movie buy the new version out of obligation to keep up with their Disney collection. That was how Disney sold itself to people. And yeah, it was a marketing tactic, but it worked. It worked for both sides. It made it fun for us. It created excitement when one of the older movies was coming back out on video. And so you see how that idea that playing the long game creates so much more value than what we're getting now from Disney. Scarcity actually made those films seem important, special. People would still buy physical copies just to collect the newest version of the film and keep them shrink wrapped like they were precious artifacts.
He's mint in the box, never been opened.
There was that sense that these movies mattered beyond opening weekend. But now everything is just always available. We have Disney Plus. You can pick anything you want at any time and watch it. Everything is immediate. And when everything is available all the time, that results in nothing feeling valuable anymore.
And when everyone's super, no one will be.
And so this mindset that the companies have cultivated now has bled over into the creative process. Because if the only moment that matters is now, then why spend years creating something new? Why take risks? Why invest in something that just might not work when you can just remake something you already did? But Disney no longer invests in the long term or plays the long game as Walt Disney himself did and even Michael Eisner did. Because to the current Disney regime, the future is now. And now is the time to bank on everything with as little effort as possible. Because effort takes time and patience. They refuse to push their chips in. They're operating on a level of greed and power that we can't even begin to understand. Which brings us back to Moana. And look, I'll be fair here, okay? The actress playing Moana seems super sweet. She's probably going to do a great job. I think she's going to be adored by a lot of people, and rightfully so. And major respect going out to the original girl who voiced the animated Moana. She stepped back from accepting this role, and the cynic in me says, well, obviously, why do you want to do this movie? But she said that she did it so that she can leave the role open for somebody else to take her place, to give somebody else of her nationality a chance at the big time. And so with that out of the way, the actress playing Moana is going to do great. I think the girl who did Ariel, she was pretty great. I think the kid that did Lilo, she was fantastic. And these are mostly unknown people, which I actually celebrate. I think that's something great that Disney is doing and not always banking on the A-listers. But then that brings us over to the But then that brings us over to Wayne "The Rock" Johnson. What's going on here, huh? You've seen all the complaints. I'm not going to rehash all of it for you here. But remember, this is a movie that was loved because of how vibrant and colorful it was. The movement, the stylization of the ocean, the islands, the characters, it all just felt really alive in the animated version. So why retell the exact same story only to drain it of everything that made it feel so special? Visually speaking, it just raises more questions. Why does everything have to look so artificial? Why does it have to feel like we're still on a green screen set? You're telling me that a company with Disney's resources couldn't even commit to more realistic environments? They couldn't lean into practical locations? They couldn't make this feel like it's a grounded movie in an actual place? This could have gone the way of an Adam Sandler movie. Take a vacation at work. You're working on the beach, but no, they choose the green screens and a soundstage. Speaking of The Rock, he just looks like he's cosplaying his own character. It's just weird. But again, nobody's gonna care. Everybody's still gonna go see this. Without a doubt, this movie is going to be a massive success. But that's also because there's really not that many big blockbusters coming out this summer. At least I don't really think so. And so by the time June or July hits, whenever this movie comes out, people are going to be hungry to go back to the theaters just to sit in a cool room and watch something stupid on the screen. Look at the Disney remakes that are in the $1 billion club right now. Lilo and Stitch, Aladdin, which I actually liked, to be honest, but I still don't think it should have been made, but I liked it. The Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Alice in Wonderland. Fun fact, did you know that until Inside Out 2 came out, the Lion King 2019 version was the highest grossing animated movie of all time? Did you catch that? Highest grossing animated movie. That's right. The live action Lion King is the highest grossing animated movie of all time. I don't know about you, but it seems to me that Disney got their lion's share of the cake and ate it too. But I hope you can see that we, collectively, we are the problem. They say that Disney has trained us to expect less creativity from them, but the exact opposite is true. Instead, we have trained Disney that they'll be rewarded for delivering ugly, messy CGI slop, devoid of the soul and spirit and color of the original animated films. With every ticket purchase, we are letting Disney off the hook from creating original, actual art. We're rewarding millionaire producers for cutting corners and working even less than they were before. Think about the thousands of Disney employees. I would bet that for most of them, this is not what they had in mind when they applied to work at Walt Disney Company. You see, when you apply to work at Walt Disney Company, you dream of creating new worlds and conceiving of characters that will live on in the minds and imaginations of people for generations, for centuries to come. I don't think people apply to work at Disney just so that they can copy something that's already been done. And not only that, downgrade the imagery, downgrade the value of the original animated film. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure they're grateful to be working, but I don't see anybody standing up to take credit for creating Ugly Sebastian or Soulless Mufasa. If the popularity of the original Moana was its vibrancy in colors and stylization, why retell the story only to downgrade the brightness? It's like Pizza Hut saying, we've created a brand new pizza that you're all gonna love. Just the crust. It's just the crust. It's pie they hand us, but it's just a crust. No cheese, no pasta, sauce, no nothing. Just crust. It's the same idea, folks. And when I look at this trailer, there is not a doubt in my mind that they literally took rendered files from the original movie and pasted them into this film, especially this lava guy. Now, full disclosure, I've actually never seen all of Moana, but I really like the movie. I think it's a great movie. I just have never seen the last 30 minutes of it. I've seen the kids watch it, and so I've walked through the room when the monster guy is there, and he looks exactly the same, right? Does anybody really need to see the last 20 minutes of Frozen? I mean, all the songs are the very first part of the movie. It's kind of what I feel like with Moana. It's a great movie, and it's actually one of my all-time favorite movie openings, with the little baby Moana walking into the water and the beautiful song. You need to look up the history of that song. It is heartbreaking. Now, the filming of this video, the Moana remake trailer, is sitting at 42,000 likes. It's 112,000 dislikes and counting. It keeps going up, folks. And people will look at these numbers and say, see, Disney, people don't want this. People hate this. But that's not at all what this ratio means. Not even close. All that means is that there's 112,000 people that have already decided that they love this movie. And then there's 42,000 people that are excited to see it to hate watch it. They're going to hate watch it by buying a ticket. They're going to give Disney money and say, I hate what you're making. I'm so mad at you, but take my money. And what people don't seem to realize is that that still counts. It still feeds the machine. Those are just the people who bothered to rate it on YouTube. There have been 4 million people who have viewed this trailer as of now. And most of those people probably watched this with family and friends. The point I'm making is that there's obviously a spot already saved for the Moana remake in the $1 billion movie club. Am I right? It's going to be right there next to a whole bunch of other $1 billion movies that most people claim to not like. How is this making sense at all? So at a certain point, we have to stop pretending that this is a Disney problem. It's not. This is pure and simple supply and demand. And from Disney's perspective, there is a lot of demand for these movies to keep coming out. You can say you want creativity and originality and you're sick of remakes until you're blue as a genie. But when the time comes to prove that you really are upset at the new CGI sloppy remake they're throwing out there, a lot of people still see it because they think their vote doesn't matter. And I sort of get it. Like, familiarity, it's comfortable. It's you know what you're getting. It's easy, But the comfort, it still comes at a cost. Because every time we choose the safe, recycled option, we make it harder for the studios to decide to make more original content. We send a message to Hollywood that risk is not worth taking, and that indeed creativity is no longer necessary to please us. So no, I'm not saying you have to boycott Disney, because when's the last time a boycott worked, right? But I am saying that when Moana or the next remake comes out, just pause for a second and ask yourself a simple question. Do I actually want to pay for this? Not out of habit, not out of curiosity, not just because it's there, but because it's something worth supporting. So we can't really be mad at Disney for doing something that comes so easy with no accountability, and probably we would do the same thing if we were in Disney's position. Clock into work, put in as little effort and energy as possible, save as much money as you can, and just wait for the returns, right? But what we can do is we could take a closer look at ourselves as a society that tends to take pop culture rather seriously. I am calling for each of us to ask ourselves, do we really need to go see this movie? Do we really want to pay money to watch a downgraded version of a beloved film from just 10 years ago? Or would I rather spend my money on something that's actually fresh and new and original, that dares to step away from the modern curse of green screens and CGI slopfest, like the newly released Project Hail Mary? If you want to see my review of that movie and hear my thoughts as to why people are loving it so much, then press that subscribe button. In the next video, I'm going to be talking about Ryan, Mary, and Rocky, and why was this rated PG-13? I have some thoughts. I will see you in the next video. Thanks for hanging out. What about you should look it up. It's so good.